Hey, what's up you guys? So today I figured I would do a nice top 5 video because, I just like to mix it up. I like to do a bunch of different stuff, just kind of throw a video up there or whatever I want to do because this is my channel. But today I'm doing top 5 romantic comedies because I'm obsessed with anything romantic comedy. Not so much romance movies because people are like, you should watch this romance movie. I'm like, no, is it funny? And they're like, well, it has some funny parts to it. I'm like, no, it has to be literally defined as a romantic comedy, not just a romance movie. Therefore, I don't really consider The Notebook to be a comedy, Pride and Prejudice to be a comedy, Titanic, I mean, it's funny because everyone dies, I guess. Number 5. Coming in at number 5 is the movie Admission, which stars Paul Rudd and Tina Fey. Tina Fey plays an admissions officer who lets people know whether or not they're about to get into Yale. And Paul Rudd plays a kind of single father traveling, he just recently came into the kind of being the principal of this free-thinking school and decides that he wants this one kid, Jeremy, to enroll into Yale and try to see if he can get in under the pretense that this kid Jeremy is actually Tina Fey's son, who she gave up for adoption when she was younger. And it's just a fantastic movie because she's all like, this isn't gonna work, and he's like, no, we have to, we're banding together to help this kid, not because it's anything to do with us. And turns out it's everything to do with them because they end up falling in love. Number 4. Coming in at number 4 on my list is the movie Maid of Honor, which stars Patrick Dempsey and Michelle Monaghan. And Patrick Dempsey and Michelle Monaghan have been friends since college when he accidentally tried to get in bed with her and thinking it under the pretense that it was somebody else. They end up becoming friends and kind of form this huge kind of friendship. And he is constantly sleeping with other girls, and she's just kind of, there to be the best friend and help him out during all the sticky situations that he gets himself into, until she goes to Scotland for her job and ends up falling in love with a Scotsman, and he ends up realizing that with her not being there, he is in love with her, and he needs to be in the wedding in order to break up the wedding in order to tell her how he feels. Number 3. Coming in at number 3 is the movie 13 Going on 30, starring Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo. Jennifer Garner's character is 13 and kind of wishes that she was to be 30 because she's in her words, I want to be 30, flirty, and thriving. And there ends up being a magical dust that Mark Ruffalo's character gives to her and is like, hey, I made you this dream house, and it comes these little ashes, but I don't really know what to call them. They're it's magic dust, it's pixie dust, and they sprinkle it over on top of the dollhouse, and it ends up falling on her, and she's crying I just want to be 30, and so they flash forward in the time, and then she's 30 and ends up being a terrible human being, but kind of fixes her life and ends up realizing that she's in love with her best friend, who they no longer talk, but she kind of forces him to talk to her now because she's oh, I'm 13 really. But number 2. Coming in at number 2 is the movie Something Borrowed, and I was really debating this one being on the list at all, let alone being on number 2, because it's funny, but it's not laughs all around. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it has its funny moments, but I think overall it could be considered a romance. But I don't know, I really like the movie. I think that it has a lot of laughs in it. It's a great book as well if you haven't read the book. But yeah, so that one comes in at number 2. It's about this girl, Rachel, who just turned 30, and on her 30th birthday sleeps with the guy that she was in love with during college, and turns out that this guy is actually engaged to her best friend since forever, since when they were really young, and it's all about whether or not she tries to pursue this guy who ends up being in love with her as well, and whether or not that works out. Number 1. Coming in at number 1 is the movie The Proposal, which stars Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. And Sandra Bullock ends up being a kind of a mean boss and forces Ryan Reynolds to help her stay in the country because she is an immigrant from Canada. She's like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna pretend to be married and that way I can stay in the country, and if you do that, then I will let you publish this article for it was like a newspaper or magazine kind of thing. I can't remember, it's been a while since I saw it. So he's like, okay, you know, whatever. But they end up flying out to Alaska because the family is like, oh, well, you know, if you're getting married, we really want to like meet her and all this stuff. So they end up flying out to Alaska, and it's all about how they end up actually connecting. And it's so funny. It's a great movie. And Betty White's in it, and she plays kind of a weirder, kind of tribal, like, woman, grandmother, as she like dances in the woods, and it's a great movie. So yeah, that's my top 5 romantic comedies, and if you guys have any suggestions, leave them down below, or like if there's any romantic comedies that you want for me to watch. And with that, I'm gonna go. Make sure you guys subscribe. See you next week. Bye.